Every sip of coffee and bite of food tastes like fresh blood to Jonathan Vickers, in a bizarre and disturbing complication of his battle with. Despite having only mild symptoms of the virus, the stage actor is still suffering the effects almost 11 months on and is one of an estimated 770,000 Brits suffering from. Jonathan has been robbed of his enjoyment of food and drink, which smell and taste like blood, metal or yeast, and all he can do is wait and hope the senses return to normal. The 32-year-old, whose wife Lucy was also affected, told the Mirror, "I would describe it as a fresh blood kind of taste, maybe a yeasty. It doesn't smell or taste like anything natural at all. For a long time it just made meal times incredibly. It's very distressing and quite difficult to deal with." Have you been affected by long COVID? Email webco.uk. Jonathan, from Burnham, Buckinghamshire, added, "I wasn't able to identify foods that had the taste more or less. For a time I found almost everything had the distinctive off taste, which has only recently started. It is thought that thousands of people in the UK have suffered from parosmia, a distorted sense of smell, or pareidolia, a distorted sense of taste, after contracting COVID-19. For those with parosmia, normal smells have been replaced with unpleasant or even vomit-inducing odors such as rotting flesh, feces, cigarette smoke or chemical. Pareidolia, also known as dysgeusia, can make everything taste foul, rancid. A handful of studies have explored the links between COVID-19 and parosmia and pareidolia, and further research is being carried. What is parosmia? Parosmia is a persistent condition where the sense of smell is distorted and the sufferer experiences unpleasant. Certain scents, or all odors, for some, are different, and the unpleasant smells can be everything from burning or feces to rotting flesh or some cases can be quite severe and the odors can be vomit-inducing. For some, the unpleasant smells are triggered by specific odors, while for others they can be in response to any scent. Viral infections of the upper respiratory tract and head injuries are among the most common causes of parosmia. Has occurred in coronavirus patients whose nose tissue and nerve endings have been damaged. While it can be debilitating and depressing, it is a sign that smell function is returning, a process that can take. New research has shown 1 in 5 people with coronavirus develop longer-term symptoms which can range from a loss of smell and fatigue to brain fog and about 186,000 people suffer problems for up to 12 weeks. After Jonathan became infected with coronavirus just before the March lockdown last year, he lost his senses of smell, known as anosmia, and taste, ageusia, for 2. He didn't have a fever or cough, but lost 12 pounds. He said, I woke up one day and I had no sense of taste or smell, which at that time was not among the official symptoms but was anecdotally being The illness was purely about the loss of taste and smell, a very total loss of taste and smell. Soon after he finally regained those senses, he was overwhelmed by a strange metallic odor that was also apparent in the taste of. One day, he opened a cupboard full of medicine and was hit by the enormous smell. Other times it has come from nowhere while out for a walk. Sweat has a chemical. Jonathan, originally from Aberdeen, said, "Everything for me has been entirely unique. That is the most distressing thing about it. It is this uniform taste and smell across this huge variety of things. A cup of coffee, meat." What is pareidolia? Pareidolia, also known as dysgeusia, is a persistent distortion of the It can make food and drink taste foul, rancid, salty or metallic as the taste sensation. Known causes include upper respiratory tract infection, medication, cancer treatment, chronic illnesses such as dementia and diabetes, and vitamin. Pareidolia has been reported by people diagnosed with coronavirus. Often, pareidolia does not go away until the underlying health condition is dealt with. However, that may not be possible for sufferers who have certain chronic illness. It is like no other taste or smell I have ever known. I can walk into an environment and something could really set it off. I might be walking down the street and get a huge blast of it, or open a cupboard and get an intense feeling of it. My wife was experiencing it also. When we were walking down the street she would say, "Can you smell it?" All of a sudden we both. There must have been some sort of a trigger for both of us to have smelled it so intensely. Enjoying the aroma and taste of a hot cup of coffee used to be part of Jonathan's daily routine, but now it tastes like blood. He said, "Losing that little morning ritual was a blow. I'm certainly looking forward to a decent tasting cup of coffee again. I have tried to eat much as I have always. I found this was the best way to monitor my progress. It has certainly been a challenge, given the lack of enjoyment I have been getting from. I have stayed away from trying to ease the symptoms, and have simply hoped it would pass." Anosmia, the loss of smell, has occurred in coronavirus patients who suffered damage to their nose tissue and nerve endings. Parosmia can occur when the nerves are healing, and it is a sign that smell functioning is returning. But it can take months or even a year or two for normal function to return, said Sarah Oakley, Executive Director of the Smell Loss charity Absent has set up Facebook group and, with support from the British Rhinological Society, BRS, and the NTUK, an online guide called Nose Well to support Britons suffering from anosmia and parosmia. Ms. Oakley said demand for information has gone through the roof during the COVID-19 pandemic, as the sudden loss of smell or the emergence of unpleasant smells can be extremely scary when you don't know why it's happening. About 60% of COVID patients will experience smell and taste loss, but 90% of those will recover smell after a couple of weeks, according to the BR. It's estimated that 10%, approximately 231,000 people, will have persistent smell disorders, the BRS added. Ms. Oakley, whose senses of taste and smell vanished for a couple of weeks last spring during a suspected case of COVID-19, added, for people with a long-term smell loss and parosmia, that's usually a sign that the olfactory nerves, we don't know why it happens or why it affects some people and not others. The parosmia experience is common in the recovery process. It is the nerves regenerating themselves and learning to smell again. What are the symptoms of long COVID? The NHS says common long COVID symptoms include fatigue, shortness of breath, chest pain or tightness, problems with memory and concentration, brain fog, difficulty sleeping, insomnia, heart palpitations, dizziness, pins and needles, joint pain, depression and anxiety, tinnitus, earaches, feeling sick, diarrhea, stomach aches, loss of appetite, high temperature, cough, headaches, sore throat, changes to sense of smell or taste, rashes. People have reported sewage smells, fecal smells, cigarettes, otherwise, a really intense, sweet, sickly smell. The live with that day in, day out is challenging. It's really debilitating and devastating in some cases. It does have a real effect on our emotional well-being, but it is a good sign. It is a sign of recovery. The NHS has set up more than 60 specialist clinics across England for people suffering from long COVID. Respiratory consultants, physiotherapists, GPs and others are on hand to help to assess, diagnose and treat those with symptoms such as breathlessness, chronic fatigue, brain fog, anxiety and stress. New research has shown 1 in 5 people with coronavirus develop longer term. There have been almost 3.9 million confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the UK, suggesting about 770,000 people have developed longer terms. Around 186,000 people suffer problems for up to 12 weeks. The Office for National Statistics. Many long haulers have told how they are left breathless after walking short distances or doing simple tasks such as washing up or taking the bins out, and are unable to work at full capacity. Months, the NHS said. How long it takes to recover from coronavirus is different for everybody. Many people feel better in a few days or weeks, and most will make a full recovery within 12 weeks. But for some people, symptoms can last longer. The chances of having long-term symptoms does not seem to be linked to how ill you are when you first get COVID. People who had mild symptoms at first can still have long-term